everybody, welcome to the Nook on the Nook channel. That's right, it's our own. So I'm here tonight with Randy and
We can
Riley.
start over again. You can start it over again.
What?
Does it matter?
John's
He'll be right back.
John will be back. And Chelsea. Tonight we're talking about the origins of humanity. That's right, we're going to cover all that shit in a half an hour.
Well, then we got to get off
Completely off key.
bonding and
Do we
structure.
though?
Yeah,
do
do
we
we?
though?
Wait,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's the beginning of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is the love and the tension, infinity
could
of
be,
infinite
yeah.
tension, and out of that everything that exists.
When you start doing
Is-
analysis and really wholesome, good analysis, it's called whole system science. And you have to start with universe, because if you don't, you might miss something. And so let's say that you want to generate more profits in your company or get along better with your kids or whatever your goal is, you still have to start with the universe so that you don't leave anything out. So any person who does that is going to have some failures as well as successes. And they're going to realize that they have to learn more about wholes that come from parts. And so the Platonic solids, tetrahedrons, octahedrons, hexahedrons, all of the Platonic solids. And so you actually start making them, whether you use toothpicks and peas, frozen peas, and you slide the pea into the toothpick into the pea and slide the other one in. Then as they dry, they'll form a rigid bond. So you'll see. So you'll make a tetrahedron, which is a triangle on the floor, and then a pea up here at elevation, and then okay. And the immediate thing that you come to is it takes 3 toothpicks to make it a triangle, and there are 4 triangles, the one on the floor and the other 3. Yet count the number of toothpicks that you use to make this structure. You got the 3 for elevation and the 3 on the ground. 6, half. So you can do more with less when you work together. That is synergy. So synergy becomes the major factor as you go down from universe. You have to understand synergy. And that's what you want with your company or your kids or anything else. You want to maximize its energetic value. And all of this requires...
So is that what you mean by going from the universe down to out first? Like thinking about the universe. Was that an example right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we haven't really gone down to anything yet. What I'm trying to say is, as you do this work, you're going to have some failures. And you want to know why. And so what you need to do is you need to understand better these 2 parts of universe, that when we first divide universe, we have everything that is physical, all the atoms, all the logs, all the frogs, all the wars, and we have everything that is metaphysical, all the love, the hate, the greed, the leverage, the thrust, inertia. All these things are metaphysical. That is to say, take any one of them, put it on a laboratory table and try and dissect it. You can't, because it's weightless, sizeless, ageless. It has no beginning and no end. It applies here and there and everywhere, and there are no exceptions. That is a principle of natural law, or a force of nature, or a cosmic law, a rule. So that's a metaphysical. And all of the metaphysicals multiplied by all of the physicals make that which has no name, universe. Only the sweet side of that is God.
So God
So-
makes everything.
So in order to
Show
have
some-
fewer failures, we need to
Did that in
better
under 5 minutes.
we need to better understand how metaphysicals and physicals relate to one another, and how to make arrangements of them in such a way that we get synergetic results that we want. Because there
We
are
can
other
arrange
synergies.
that?
Pardon?
We can arrange that?
Yes, sure.
Give me an
Here,
example.
let me give you a
Yeah.
synergy that you can arrange with
Yeah.
alcohol and barbiturates.
Okay. Wait. Oh.
Party time!
Oh, you passed my baby.
The synergy there cannot be predicted by the alcohol or the barbiturate taken separately. So the whole is greater than the sum of the parts
Yeah,
taken separately.
yeah.
You couldn't know by a lot of alcohol drinking that little bit of alcohol and this little bit of barbiturate, put them together and they'll kill you.
Yeah.
That's because they have a behavior that is not revealed in their separate parts taken separately. That's synergy. So yes, we can put them together, putting together children and parents. There are ways to do it and ways
Or like friends.
better not to do it.
Like picking our synergy or
Right.
our relationship.
Putting together a man and a woman. And that's really, for human beings, to get to unity, the first thing you have to do is overcome the what do they call it, the gender gap. And because one thinks with the right brain, one thinks with the left brain, and you both have to be both. And so how does the man soften and yield and understand curves, and how does the woman hold fast, drive straight, and understand angle? So all of those things. But let me get back. As a analyst, in order to have less failures, we need to understand these separate parts. That's what Plato was doing when he put the solids, Platonic solids. So then we go to our kitchen table and we start putting things together. I've used straws and draw a string between them. Understand, all structure is triangle. If you have a structure like a cube that there are no triangles, it's because the triangle is hidden. If you just build a cube out of straws or toothpicks, you can just push it over real easy after it dries, because it's not a true structure. But now triangulate all the sides, and you can't push it over. You'll roll it, but you can't deflect it at all, because it is a structure now. It's omnitriangulated. So that's the first thing that we learned.
What about what about like a structure like a cone? Isn't that like supposed to be like the most stable structure, because it has the elements of a triangle, but it also has the elements of a sphere?
The
so that
tetrahedron is a cone. When the tetrahedron spins, it looks like a one of those brown ice cream cones.
Right, gotcha.
Right.
Mhm.
So and everything spins. Everything spins.
Yeah, that's true.
So the separate parts, the physical parts, come together with tension, with metaphysical parts. So how do we, when we start putting things together, take those two sharp ends of the toothpick and put them together, and you'll see that nothing ever really touches. How do you get those damn things to stay together? And it's a real challenge, and it doesn't matter whose class you go to, the mystery schools, anything, it's always going to be a challenge, because nothing touches anything else. So as we try and do it at a scale that makes sense to us, that our eyes can see, we come to that realization, nothing ever touches anything.
That's true.
So all we can do is kind of approximate, and we can do that with toothpicks and peas or straws or any number of things. I tell you, I've made thousands of them. You know, like what was that movie where the guy was lumping the mashed potatoes, and he was
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
That obsession.
Great movie.
I've had that obsession because I wanted to understand what governs these rules. So the tetrahedron, it turns out, has a minimum enclosure and a maximum of exterior surface.
Mm.
So you can't break it. If something has a tetrahedral shape like a virus, you can't get inside of it. You can't, it is impregnable. And the other end of that is a sphere. We'll take, because nothing is a true sphere, so it's spheric, and that would be an icosahedron. And only the frequency changes. So one frequency icosahedron we have all seen is that thing that looks like it's made out of triangles. If you peel it apart, you can lay it out. And so when we make our maps, they're always misleading. But if we made them on an unfolded icosahedron, it would have no distortion.
Didn't Nassim talk about how God is a triangle?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, because, well, okay, so he took a more esoteric, the same thing that we're talking about. He said, okay, so, be still and know thyself. So, there's nothing, no universe, nothing. There's just me thinking. And I don't have any space, I don't have any size, I don't have any time. So what do I matter? There's nothing, so I have to give myself something to talk about. So I'll give myself a point value. It's infinitely small. But still, I can roll around and I don't even know that I'm rolling, because what am I rolling it against? Or into, or away from? Nothing. So I need an other. That's what we find out. There's nothing alone. We need an other.
You need
And so now we've got this other God thing coming at us.
Well, that's the Trinity too. It's only God because it's a relationship of
We don't know
three.
what it is. It's just a point. It's an infinitely small point, and we're an infinitely small point. We don't even know how big it is until it starts getting bigger, and we realize, oh, it must be further away. We don't know how far away it is. We don't know anything until, as it approaches, it changes, and it changes, it gets bigger. And from its perspective, we get bigger. So we come together, and this is what you were asking about, can you be a square versus a triangle, a tetrahedron? So two
Pretty
balls.
sure nobody right here is a square. I'm pretty sure nobody here is a square. No one here is a...
Nobody can be. Nobody can be. It doesn't work that way. So the 2 point values that are infinitely small come together, and let's make it so we can work with this. Let's make them beach balls. So the 2 beach balls come together, and now a third beach ball wants to join the party. Now, before he joins the party, we can roll all around each other with total freedom. Now he comes and joins the party. Now all we can do, our freedom, is we can involute or we can evolute. We can't do anything else, because 3 is what 3 means is a bond, all point bonds, but now the degrees of freedom are just 2. Involuting, we can all roll in, or on the other side, we can all roll out. We can reverse it. And now a 4th guy wants to join the party. What happens? This is where your question.
He's a
So he
square. Ba, ba, ba.
And gravity or whatever attractive force, desire, whatever, it doesn't matter. He hits up against 1 or 2 of the other. He can't hit against 3 yet until he rolls up into the crotch, either on the bottom or on the top of that, the involuting or the evoluting, and then he'll suck right down into that thing, and now none of us can move separately. We are all just a point. And another one of those, somewhere in the universe, this is how God discovers himself. Another one of those comes, and way out there it looks like just a little tiny point. And to him, we look like a little tiny point. We come together, and we realize that we're 2 tetrahedra. And we cling together. And we're going to cling together the same way that oranges in the grocery store do.
Is that a double tetrahedron?
Yes?
So what's the significance of that?
None?
Okay.
Well, at least so far as that we don't know.
None. You can't understand. When we were separate,
Right.
as a tetrahedron, we could roll, we could do whatever we wanted
Right.
together. Now another one comes and we join. Now it limits our freedom.
Oh, so that's the significance of it. It as a double
Always
tetrahedron
joining.
means you're being limited.
Joining-
That's okay. That's
joining
what I
does
wanted
limit.
to hear,
So the exciting part is when we get 4 of those.
yeah. Right. And
Because
that's
when we get
three
4 of
like
them,
one.
then we have
6.
you again.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you see how this works, the iterations into infinity. Except that there will come a point when we have 13 of those point values. A center one and 12 around it. If you take quarters or pennies or pipes or anything that is the same round size, and you put 1 in the center, you can always pack 6 around it. 6 quarters will pack. Okay, well, if they're ping pong balls, you can pack 6 around it also. But if you want to do that in 3D, then on that 6, 7 actually, because the nuclear ball, 3 will nest up in the 6. Turn it over, and 3 more will nest. Now you have the most stable, most extraordinary structure known to universe. It's called, it's a horrible name.
Tetragrammaton.
Yes, in math they call it the cube. Shit, I can't remember. I'll remember it in a minute. But yes, it is. It was named by Buckminster Fuller as the isotropic vector matrix. Clearly, it is a matrix of vectors.
The Matrix?
It is a matrix of vectors. The vectors are the directions. Okay, we have a nuclear center, and we have 12 spheres. Now, a line is drawn between each of the spheres, and we notice that there are 12 degrees of freedom if you're in the nucleus. But if you're out on the edge, how many degrees of freedom are there? Well, you can get to the nucleus, and you can get to the other balls that are adjacent to you. And that's true for all of the outside ones. So see how we're finding out what the rules are, what God's rules are for getting together. The isotropic vector matrix is unlike any of the Platonic solids because it's nucleated. But you can pull the nucleus out and it's still a structure. And the reason is, because remember we said it has to be triangulated? But in the isotropic vector matrix, no triangle is joined to another triangle. Triangle is joined to a square, joined to a triangle, joined to a square. So you have, and if you see it in 3D, it's...
I'm really glad you brought up triangles again, because like this is, you're saying about like everything's a triangle, right?
Mhm.
And this got me thinking about like golden ratio, which like is a lot in art, and especially like Renaissance period, that sort of a thing. And there's like
not necessarily Renaissance period, but you're golden ratio.
Right, yeah. This is the thing. What I was trying to bring up is that that's put in that art, you know, and there's like a very specific thing to it. But to simplify it a little bit, it's essentially 1/3 to 2/3 when it comes to like a formula of it,
Yes.
which would be a triangle. You've got one part and then other two parts of equal thing, a triangle, which would be the same, right? So, but the thing that's really funny about that is that relating this to people and how it is that we are, that's also that exact same, like if you're to talk about like when they talk about looking for like a model or something for clothes, lingerie, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It's that hourglass figure is 1/3 the waist, 2/3 hips, bust.
Yes.
Just an observation I made that when they say what like the measurements are, you're like, wait a minute. So 1/3, 2/3. Okay, all right. Golden ratio, same as like, all right.
Right.
Interesting.
The universe doesn't have to stop and decide every time it makes a tree.
It's in our heads. It's like we see it in nature so much, so that when we see it in the human form in a woman, we go, okay, well, so if this is the perfect hourglass figure, which you never actually really come across, and we really know we should really expect perfection, but it's very interesting that like that's what our brains like almost kind of look
That's right.
for. You know,
That's right.
it's very strange.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah.
So any of us are approximations because we're special. I mean, we're special case.
Mhm.
But the non-special case, the one that we can conceive of in our mind,
Mhm.
is perfect.
Right.
But anytime we bring it down to special case, it's going to be an approximation,
Mhm.
not a perfect. This is the long way around to get to human origins.
This is the long way, but also the most interesting way, actually.
Let
Yeah.
me get back to this. We're at the isotropic vector matrix, and I swear I'll come back to it. But let me give a very quick big picture of human origins. We have two camps. We have the religious people saying God did it. That's magic. Okay, we all have to trust the magic, agree with the magic, or we're bad. Then we have the other camp saying no, we don't need anything like that. Nothing other than what's here on the earth. So there was a primordial sludge of something, and
crawling out of something.
by laws
I was thinking of the Red
of
Skippy
combinatorics,
episode, the evolution one. Sorry. Yeah.
that it is evolution.
Right.
By laws of combinatorics, we now got amino acids and elbows and frogs. You know, that's magic. It's just a different kind of magic. Okay, but you got to buy our magic, or else you're a crazy religious fanatic. So these two camps can never come together,
Yeah.
and they're diametrically opposed, and they can't both be right.
So which would be a middle point between the two, which would strangely be 1/3, 2/3, and
So and
Right,
one
right,
comes
got
up, one comes up between them, and
It's the golden ratio.
and now we have the golden ratio. Okay, this one is called the what do they call it when you have a person who's drinking too much and all his friends get together?
Intervention.
Intervention. Okay, intervention theory is something else made it happen. So what? A comet came, and on the comet it was carrying some amino acids.
That's true.
Okay, maybe. Or
Aliens.
aliens. That's right.
Yeah.
With all that real estate out there, there's got to be somebody else other than just us. Because whenever nature does anything, and nature did all that, nature does everything. So whenever nature wants a oak tree, it makes zillions of seeds and throws them all out, hoping that one of them will land. Or when it wants sparrows or grass. We've all seen it, how it works. And to give your golden ratio just a moment,
Right.
does nature have to stop and calculate every time it makes a plant or a stem or a branch? No, because it
Yeah.
uses the golden ratio. And if you look, you'll see that. It never had to stop and calculate it. That's the function that serves in the universe. You can think of nature as the agency that that governs the interactions between mass and energy in the universe. And so nature makes biological systems. It makes, what do they call it, incubators? A solar system is an incubator. It is a nuclear power plant in the center
Sweet.
with planets and moons at approximate distance where the liquid water is not boiled away because it's too close, or it's not frozen because it's too far away. And wherever that happens, there will be mud. And wherever the mud is, there will be the opportunity for life. But there will not be life. There will just be mud for forever and forever. And all the combinatorics you want. Expecting that to produce humans is akin to you have a junkyard with all junk in the universe, and a hurricane comes through,
Okay.
and when it passes through,
Makes a
there's
plane.
a 747
Fully operational.
park. And
But if you
buried.
get enough hurricanes, man. But no, I was just thinking like I'm kind of like at this point in time, I kind of like the whole transpermia theory that all right, so maybe or maybe not, but I mean that's honestly the best. That's
It's
what
the
it's
same
called.
thing.
Yeah.
Transpermia
Yeah.
is
Sounds
the
like a cult
interdiction.
classic.
Yeah, right. But it's so like I guess how the theory goes is essentially this, and I kind of stumbled upon it, but there's a little bit of truth to it. So the idea being that perhaps life did not originate on the Earth, and it's not necessarily that it was placed here by an intelligent life form. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but that it was brought here on a comet. And
Somehow it was brought here. We
yeah,
agree with
yeah,
that.
and so that it may have been on a comet. And so then there's a funny thing in my mind that there's some like bacteria on a comet, like playing roulette, like come on, let's get somewhere else. We're gonna make it. But so
Maybe it brought somebody's sperm and ovum too.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean that's the thing. So,
Just don't hear you
Where
fucking
the sperm
start.
come from.
but so
Here's the thing. Carl Sagan was giving a lecture one time. This lady said, "Don't you realize that the turtle's all the way down? How do we support anything?" And she said, "The turtle's all the way down." And he said, "Well, what's below the last turtle?" And she said, "It's turtles all the way down." So all of these ideas that we put forward are just kind of ridiculous. Well, so is this one panspermia or
Right.
interdiction theory that I'm going to give, which is a race more advanced than us came and they eco-seeded the earth. The first thing they did when all there was lava everywhere and all that, the only thing that can live in that most extreme environment with no oxygen is prokaryote bacteria, two forms.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they found out that they on the space station they put essentially petri dishes on the outside of the damn thing, and there's like bacteria in a dish of agar, and they're just like, yeah, cool, we're good.
But
Bacteria's
they don't
growing.
have
Yeah, it's
any
pretty
DNA.
wild. Yeah.
They don't have any nucleus. They are cells, but they are just that simple. So we have prokaryote. And no amount of combinatorics is going to turn the prokaryote into amino acids. So how do we get to that? We need that comet to come back and give us more good stuff. As it cools down, gets a little better, those prokaryotes in their interactions are going to make oxygen.
What's the good stuff that the comets bring?
Huh?
What's the good stuff that the comets bring?
Well, is it comets or is it aliens?
Well,
We
the
don't
aliens
know
came
what
from somewhere
we don't
too,
know
though.
what it is that delivered it. But ultimately we're going to
But
come
what
to
is it
But where
that
did
delivered?
it come from?
What did it
right,
deliver?
right.
What's the
Ultimately,
payload?
we're going to come to the conclusion that, like us,
What's the payload?
it's something like us. It's an alien, more advanced than us.
Yeah, but
But then, where did he come from?
Yeah,
Right,
right.
right.
So I'll
No
tell you.
beginning and no end.
That's right, and there's no way out of that. That's a circular argument. There's no way out except to go and talk to them. And when we do, and we do in form of mediums,
Right.
Channeling, yeah.
Yeah?
in
Yeah.
channeling, and in terms of people who are sympathetic with them, who they trust, and
Yeah, yeah.
and
I've heard that.
we have the ability to communicate with anything non-verbally. And if we open ourselves, and so communication starts. And what they say time after time after time is, yeah, you were terraformed, and you fucked it up, and you nuclear bombed yourself into oblivion,
Yeah.
and then we did it again, and then you fucked it up, and there have been so many civilizations on this planet that have been buried under the lava.
See, I believe that. I for sure. I mean, why is it that almost every culture has some sort of like Atlantean myth?
Yes.
It's because probably some shit happened a long time ago, ain't there anymore. May have happened once or twice, maybe 3 or 4 times. Who knows?
America's supposed to be the new Atlantis, according to the occult agenda of the secret societies.
So there comes a point after this fertile ecosystem is made when they want to now take it up a notch. They want the intelligence that is everywhere to become intelligent. That's us, or something that does that. Consciousness is in every electron. Consciousness is everywhere. So it's not consciousness that is special. What is special? Intelligence is everywhere. It's in the plant and how it splits, and it's in the roads, and how this part becomes red and fragrant, and this part becomes sharp and brown. So intelligence is everywhere. How does intelligence become intelligent? Because none of those creatures in this incubator are really intelligent, like us, like the aliens. So how do we make it intelligent? Well, we have to put our stamp on it.
I would think they're intelligent.
No,
They're
worms
they're
aren't
just not
intelligent. Dogs
complex.
aren't intelligent. They are reactive. There's a difference.
There's
They don't
What is-
dream about what is possible on other worlds.
I hear you.
I don't know, but I think they
It's like
communicate
different
with other
I don't know.
plants.
Sometimes I
They-
question
What
the
about
capacities
dolphins?
for animals
They
to
communicate with other
contemplate what.
plants.
But
That's
I will
an
say-
intelligence.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Dolphins are the poets of the earth.
I will say a dung beetle though
I would
navigates
hope so.
its direction by using the stars. Would you consider that intelligent?
No,
or not?
no.
Yes.
If a whale uses electromagnetic lines of force, well, how is it different than if it uses the
The
stars?
dung beetle doesn't know that it's doing that. It's just doing that because the intelligence is inside of it.
How do you
Not
know it
because
doesn't
of
know
the-
that?
Because
Why?
Dr. Wald in Harvard did a study with these kinds of worms, but also what are the little creatures with prehensile fingers, and they're marine
Trout?
salamanders
Oh.
Oh, salamanders.
and salamanders. And he wanted to know how much consciousness do you have. He started with these worms and salamanders, and so he was able to figure it out. Your ability to respond differently to different forms of stimuli. If you're an obsidian rock weighing 10 grams and another obsidian rock weighing 10 grams, and I put heat, a stimuli, or electricity, a stimuli, or force, a stimuli, will you react any different than this one? No. They're going to react to
But
that.
maybe their tests were just limited, and their consciousness was
That's
so
why the
small.
scientific method, they do it over and over and over,
You have
and
to
they
do-
get
you
the
have to
same
do different
results.
things. You have to do different types of
But,
things.
right, when it goes up to the worm, then we have some that are acting differently. So this one tries to move off to the left, and this one moves off to the right, but they're both moving away from the
Right.
stimuli. Now we get up to the salamander, and it may try and eat the stimuli. And as we go up that hierarchy, we eventually get to humans who have the ability to make a deal, and they will become the stimuli, and you become the object of their experiment. So the ability to respond differently to different forms of stimuli finds its zenith in human beings on this planet. And that's because somebody came here when they were just animals, and they said, let us make them in our image and in our likeness, where they can have conversations with us and carry out our
This
orders.
is how I see the conversation with the aliens going. Okay, so, right.
There's no conversation with the aliens because there's no
Well,
word.
we'll figure something out. This is how I see it. Like, I always think of aliens as your stereotypical gray aliens. You know, they got the big eyes, dry skin. They land, you go, all right, so here's the deal. We want to know where you came from because we're trying to figure out where we came from. Here's some Jergens. You're really going to like this. Just put it on your arms, your face. You'll love it. Okay. And then after that, they're going to be like, all right, cool. So we came over here from this planet that's way over there. And if you give us a lifetime supply of that Jergens, maybe we'll try the Aveeno too. We'll tell you how to make sex robots. And that's how it'll go down. That's exactly how that negotiation happens.
Sex robots means we're wrapping up.
Which is sad because we only just cracked the surface.
I know. We can keep talking.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing saying we can't keep talking.
Right where we left
But a
off.
good night would be
Okay.
really, really nice.
Good night, everybody.